Hello, fellow fantasy sports fans. Welcome to MFSN, the Hub's strategy show on fantasy sports. I'm here, as always, with Kasey, Vlad to the Bone Scheinvold, and Ross the Boss.
Ross the Boss here from La La Land, and I'm excited about this week in the NFL. We got some great matchups, some great trade talk we'll do, and let's get started. Go ahead, boys.
I mean, the first thing we'll say is I know the Browns aren't going to lose this week.
Why?
Because they're not playing.
Oh! Shocked. How about the Giants? Are they playing?
Unfortunately, they are.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Kasey, how you doing? How you doing after that debacle?
You know, I'm looking forward to the draft. I have Marvin Harrison Jr. in my sights. I'm hoping they just keep losing.
Ohio State. That guy will be in the first round for sure.
They're saying he's the number 2 pick, pretty much consensus at this point, unless a quarterback hungry team is willing to trade up.
I mean, he certainly has the pedigree, as we know. So you think the Giants are going to have like a top 2 pick?
I'm hoping. I'm one of those fans who, once you start 1-3 and the chances of making the playoffs are,
then you're like,
you might as well just tank the season and get the draft pick. You know, I mean, Andrew Thomas is still hurt. Evan Neal has been terrible. So you have 2 bad tackles. So you're not really able to stop anyone anyway. Saquon Barkley is the only thing you have going for you, and he's been hurt. Might as well just
high ankle sprain. He's not going to.
Might as well just pack it in, forfeit the rest of the season, get healthy, draft.
Ross, let's talk to you about being a Bengals fan. How is this going at the moment?
You had to.
I'm sorry.
Trigger.
A trigger. I apologize.
It's disappointing, Dan. I mean, you know what? Such high hopes. I was so excited, but then during practice in August, Joe Burrow gets hurt, and our season's over. I mean, you know, a little calf strain, and he's not recovering. He's saying he's 100%, but he's not 100%, guys.
Joe Burrow is great outside of the pocket. Have you seen him even try to get outside of the pocket?
No, not at all.
So
I
mean, he signs this big deal. We go. His new nickname is Joey Silk, so we'll call him Joey Silk. That's his new nickname. Like, you know, we have Brock Montana in San Francisco, and we have Joey Silk in Cincinnati.
Call him Joe Marcus Russell.
And, you know, I'm happy he signed a big deal. He deserves it. I mean, the guy's been a godsend.
And he's going to be great in the long run. But
but the decision you got to make is, hey, if we sit him now, the season's over. I mean, we're not going to win. We're not going to win with Browning as our backup. Or do we play him and see what happens?
Well, and how about from a fantasy perspective? What do you do if Joe Burrow is your quarterback in fantasy?
Kasey and I talked about it, and this is what Kasey and I played on Tuesday.
Yeah,
we said, who would you start? CJ Stroud or Joe Burrow?
It's got to be Stroud right now.
Yeah, I mean, Stroud is the guy. Yeah,
I started Jordan. I started Jordan Love over Burrow last week.
But I'll tell you what, though, I would, in a redraft league, I would probably trade CJ Stroud for Joe Burrow if I could do it.
You mean you're anticipating that? For the
I don't think Burrow can possibly be this bad for the rest of the year. And if you can get 8 weeks of him from weeks 6 to 14, or like, let's say he's dynamic after the bye week, you know, because he gets healthy.
I mean, I think if you don't have a great quarterback,
he would be a buy low guy.
I'm buying.
Yeah.
So he's a buy, and Jamar Chase is a buy. Hey, Albert, how are you? Good afternoon.
Actually,
to you.
Jamar Chase.
Good to see you, Albert.
I obviously I would want to have Jamar Chase, but I don't think you can get him cheap because no matter what, it's still Jamar Chase. But T. Higgins, I would definitely go after.
See, T. Higgins, I disagree with you, Kasey. You know why? I'll tell you why you should trade T. Higgins if you have him on your team right now.
Contract status
is his contract status.
Yep.
The Bengals told him, and they said, "We're not giving you a long-term contract, so you probably won't."
But
be
if
a
I
Bengal.
told you that T. Higgins right now has the same amount of targets as Mike Evans, would that shock you, considering how effective Mike Evans is?
Wouldn't shock me at all, but remember, T. Higgins.
So why wouldn't you get that guy on the cheap? He's already saying he'll be back within 2 weeks. He's not going to sit it out. Because if he's not getting a contract from Cincinnati, he wants to prove to the other teams in the league that I'm durable and tough.
I mean, he's been dropping balls, Kasey. No wonder.
I think they're all out of sync, though. I think they're all out of sync because Burrow just hasn't been there in the same way. I'm a buy low guy on T. Higgins. Also, I understand your point, Ross, but So let's
Stay
jump back
away.
to we made some calls last week. I wanted to ask Kasey, how do you feel about Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I know. How was that for egg on my face on that one, right? I'm like, he's
I don't know.
past his prime. Then all of a sudden it's 125 yards and
Played the
2 touchdowns.
Bengals. Played the
Yeah, the
Bengals.
He
I
looked
also
like an animal,
picked the
but
Bengals to win that game. So
I tried to tell you not to do that. I
did.
warned you.
I know.
Danger, Will Robinson.
this is the
danger.
part
I
of the
warned
program-
you, Kasey.
I
Crapold.
still would sell high on Derrick Henry if I could, because I just think Tennessee's overachieving. But I was absolutely wrong.
well, also, can you sell high on Derrick Henry, or are there too many people out there like you who are just expecting him to fall off a cliff?
No, there's more people like Ross who don't think he's done yet. I would say
It's not
You think
being
so?
done. It's just Tennessee puts all this stock in him, and it's like there's really not many running backs like him in the league. I mean, think about it. Who else gets the handoffs like he does? Who?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Eckler does, but he's hurt. He hasn't played all season.
McCaffrey does. He gets the touches.
McCaffrey's a good one.
McCaffrey has been a
Barkley
give you
does,
that.
but he's hurt.
Yeah.
Outside of that, let's see who else.
you know-
Jonathan Taylor being back, he might start. I mean,
I would play Moss half the time if I was them. How that guy's been running. but
yeah, I
that's
know he's
me.
been running great. James Conner gets that kind of run.
Conner,
Josh
yep.
Jacobs. Another
Okay.
one I would buy low on is Josh Jacobs.
I
by the
like
way. He
Josh
gets that
Jacobs.
play.
I think the Raiders have a chance this weekend.
so we're speaking of buy low. Albert Merriquin says buy low on Waddle. What do you guys
Casey,
think?
do the Waddle impression right now for me, please. Look at that.
I would
Perfect
absolutely.
impression.
I mean, Jalen Waddle might be after Tyreek Hill, like the fastest wide receiver in the league.
I love
or one of
Waddle.
them.
I love him.
And I mean,
he's-
the
love
Dolphins'
him.
offense is amazing.
And he's in that the most efficient offense in the league right now. And so,
Yep.
yeah, give me that wide receiver all day if I can get him at less than second or third round value, which is what you got him for. You had to draft him in the
And
top
listen,
2 rounds.
from a fantasy strategy perspective, since that's what this show is, I think that you really can get him low. People are panicking already. It's only been 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
When people have a player like Jalen Waddle that they invested in so much and he's not looking good, they start to panic, especially if their record is low. Take a look at the standings. Go to a team that's 1-3 and see if you can get them to sell Waddle for low, because a lot of people are going to panic on a lot of things.
How about this trade, guys? Listen to this trade.
try
And
to buy him.
Go ahead, Ross.
how about Evans for Waddle? Do you think people would move on that or no?
In a redraft league, some people might.
No, I'm talking about redraft, of course.
Yeah.
I would rather have Waddle.
I would have Waddle too, but Evans has better stats. That's what I'm trying to say. It's
No,
like
he does.
That's the kind of trade you should make.
Waddle, if you want Waddle, get him before this weekend because they're playing the Giants in Miami, and he's going to have 110 yards and a touchdown.
All right. Francisco Castro says, would you trade Walker, Debo, and Dobbs for Diggs, Connor, and Jamison Williams? It's a 10-team, 2 flex. I have
Are we talking Kenneth Walker? Is that
Kenneth Walker the third
I'm assuming.
or Herschel
no.
Walker?
Well,
Don't trade for Herschel Walker. He's past his prime. They shouldn't have traded for him in the first place.
He's running for governor, right, in Georgia.
He did. Yes. All right. So the trade is Walker, Debo, and Dobbs for Diggs, Connor, and Jamison.
I would want the Diggs and Connor combo. Yes, Debo was hurt last week. He didn't play. Dobbs, who knows what's going to happen to him with Watson coming back?
Yeah, but he's got the chemistry.
And then Walker the third, I do like, but again, he's been kind of inconsistent for me.
All right.
Too flat.
Francisco Castro does confirm it is Kenneth Walker he's talking about. The reason I like Diggs and Connor more is just pure upside. It's mostly Diggs. When I see Diggs, I'm just like, yeah, give me him, because these other players.
And Josh Allen is playing great too right now. So
And Connor's been running the ball like a maniac.
Connor has incredible value because he's an older running back, but he's getting the run and he's looking good. So
John Connor,
you see this guy's team? This has to be a 10-team league.
a
he
two-team
says it's
league.
10 teams.
Two teams.
You're talking about Francisco?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said it's 10 teams.
team. Okay, because he's got Pollard and Walker already. He's got Jefferson and St. Brown. And he'd be adding
That's an
Diggs
8-team
to
league.
that.
It's an 8-team league. It's 8 teams.
It is, but here's the thing you got to remember. I mean, his lineup is
And
great.
Scary Terry McLaurin.
All right, his
will
lineup.
have a big game tonight. You heard it from me first, Ross the Boss.
All right, I want to hear more about that in a second. But this Francisco has a great team, but you got to remember it's a 10-team league. There's going to be a lot of good teams out there.
So you would trade.
They're gonna be stacked.
And here's what I'm looking at. if I look at this trade, I don't know if I would pull the trigger because Walker is the best runner of all of them.
That's
And
subjective.
if he hangs on to Debo and Dobbs instead of adding Diggs, he still has Jefferson, St. Brown, McLaurin, Tank Dell.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of it to me.
Meanwhile, he's got Charbonnet, so he's got Walker's handcuff if anything happens to Walker, and he's got Pollard.
Yeah, but help Jefferson, St. Brown, and Diggs as your receivers.
You know what, Kasey? I think you're winning me over here because a lot of it.
I think that's a better trio of receivers, but it doesn't make your roster better because of your running back situation.
I overvalue James Conner. Maybe that's the problem.
No, I'm a huge fan of James Conner, but he always misses 4 games. Always.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
a lot of this trade
Debo
depends,
does too. Yeah.
a lot of this trade depends on Debo.
But he can afford to not have Debo be great if he already has Jefferson, St. Brown, McLaurin, and Dobbs.
I agree with
Tank Dell.
I agree with you. But if Debo turns into the player he was 2 years ago, you lose that deal instantly.
Well, that's like saying if
he's even has Evan Engram and
my grandmother had
Laporta
balls.
as his
Trevor
tight end.
Lawrence.
My grandfather?
Your main concern, Francisco, I would say, is Trevor Lawrence isn't the player that we all thought he is. He's having a horrible year. He can't on the third down. He's horrible. I would go after a quarterback because you're not going to win this league with Trevor Lawrence.
See,
so
I
I
would
suggest
Trevor
you
Lawrence
do
is
it right
a
now.
guy.
I suggest right now you go out and get Tua. You get somebody better. Get the guy from Houston. Do something.
I actually think you're.
Lawrence is not going to win you a championship. So go out there and get a quarterback.
See, I think that
You're wasting your time with these stupid trades for receivers and running backs. Go out there and get a quarterback.
I think you're both right. I think
I'm always right.
I know you know that. I know you think that anyway. I think that Lawrence is a buy low guy, but I also would want to hedge my bets. And I
want to know who his number 2 quarterback is because it's a 10-team league. He should have another good quarterback.
Well,
I don't know, but I think his major problem is his quarterback position. Because he's not going to win this
Jacksonville leads the league in drops this season. So
that's
okay.
But listen, in a 10-team league, everybody's going to have a good quarterback. If you're playing Trevor Lawrence right now, you're losing that position every time right now.
Okay, there you go. Thanks for saying that. Okay, well, let's focus on your quarterback position. Francisco, email us back. Let's keep going with our discussion. We can.
Okay, Noah Franklin says Waddle or Puka for the rest of the season.
Ooh, that's a great one.
Amazing. I mean,
my gut tells me Waddle because we know what his role is in that offense no matter what. If
you're worried about Cooper Kupp?
If and when he comes back this week or the next week, Puka is playing Cooper's position right now. So he's going to lose that position. He'll have to move, I guess, to Atwell's or to the slot. Is he going to get the same amount of volume work? Whereas Waddle, he's the number 2 option. And that offense can support 2 wide receivers.
Good. I agree with Kasey Scheinfeld. 100%.
And especially in a redraft league, if you can trade Puka for Waddle.
Right now, I would trade Puka if I could because he's a sell high candidate to me. Not saying he's not going to be a great wide receiver, but he's at wide receiver 3 on the season or 2 on the season right now.
Yep.
If you can get that value for him, if he's wide receiver 20 the rest of the way out or 18, that would be a good season for where he's going to be, but you can trade him for wide receiver 3 value. So,
yeah. And I mean, it's different, obviously, in a keeper league. I love Waddle still in a keeper or dynasty league.
Oh, yeah, he's only 25.
Puka's not somebody I want to give up in any.
No, Puka, you're not trading in a keeper or dynasty league.
Absolutely not. All right.
No, Puka. I was more my Puka shells today for you guys, but I forgot.
We'll do it again. I mean, he's going to.
Here's Francisco. I'm thinking of trading Walker because.
Okay, because Charbonnet is gradually getting more snaps every game.
He is.
And
We all knew that was going to happen.
Ayuk volume devalues Debo. So, I mean, here's the thing. You can make a plausible argument for lots of trades. And Francisco, I think you're making a very plausible one right there.
Yeah.
And it's easy to say that deal is totally fine if you want to go through with it, I think. Ross was all for it. I started on that side. Kasey tried to pull me back.
And I'm right on look, I could argue the other side just as much because one of the things we've talked about every year when we talk strategy is get the best player in the deal, right? And Diggs is the best player in that deal.
Right.
He really is. I don't deny that. But I'm saying because you already have 2 elite number 1 wide receivers, adding James Conner, who's been very good and is always good when he's healthy, but he's an injury risk too. You don't have his backup. If Walker gets hurt, Charbonnet gets all the carries. If Charbonnet gets hurt, Walker gets all the carries, you're protected in that running back spot.
Okay, here's 3 quarterbacks you should try to trade for Francisco. Are you ready? CJ Stroud. I would try to get him, right? We can improve your team a lot.
He's been a revelation.
I would go after Brock Montana. All that guy does is throw touchdowns and win games.
Oh, are you coming around him, huh?
Well, the thing about him is he hasn't lost at home, and the guy has 2 or 3 touchdowns a game. So why am I going to be mad at him?
I play Sam Howell tonight.
I agree, but
Sam Howell's a great pick tonight. The Bears have the worst defense in the league. It's a great pick, Kasey Scheinfeld. And the third quarterback that I would consider because he can get him low is I mean, even though he's MVP candidate right now, I think he's number 2 right now in the odds in Vegas. I'm looking at it right now. Is Tua. I mean, Tua is a guy that usually people have their second quarterback. And those 3 quarterbacks right there I gave you is 3 guys you should target, you should trade for immediately if you want to win your league. You're not going to win your league with Lawrence. Lawrence is a loser. I'm just telling you right now, he's a loser right now. He's a loser.
I'm glad you're adding right now, at least.
Right now.
He has a bright future.
And he's playing it. They're playing in London again against the Bills. You know what the Bills defense is going to do to that guy over the weekend? Oh, it's going to be a disaster.
All right, now let me ask you this. If you had Russell Wilson, what would you be doing with him?
I can't stand
he is the seventh highest.
Guys, I just can't.
7 right now.
I just can't look at his name on my roster. So I know his stats are. I get it, but I just can't be this guy that's going to be pretending to root for Russell Wilson and watch Denver Bronco games. It's I can't have that in my life.
And I don't think he's going to keep this up. Plus, if you're playing in like a 10-team league, you can't start Russell Wilson. There's no way.
Not in a 10-team league.
Even
it depends where they play. Honestly, it depends where they play.
It depends. If it's a super flex, obviously a super flex, you might have to run him out there.
Super flex maybe. But okay, so if you had to choose between, let's say, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, let's talk about Justin Fields' week last week. What are you feeling about him now?
That was my prediction last week.
Yeah, Kasey Scheinfeld.
I said it was the week he's going to have a big week because Denver is the worst defense. But
they're just terrible.
I'm going to play him again tonight because Washington doesn't have a great defense either, and they're missing, I think, 2 players in their starting secondary as well.
2 quarterbacks, 1 safety. Yep.
So I think Justin Fields could have a good night tonight. I think he kind of found Cole Kmet again, although the Commanders are really good. I got a Commanders right that first time, are really good against the tight end this year. But I could see Darnell Mooney and DJ Moore having a good one. And I could see, hopefully, they'll stop pretending he's a pocket passer and let him get out there and run. So I would predict 70 yards rushing and a touchdown, another 240 yards passing.
I'm writing all this stuff down.
And a touchdown and a pick.
If these predictions better come true,
I'd rather have Justin Fields than Russell Wilson rest of the season, I think.
100%. Okay, Noah Franklin says, okay, so should I trade Kasey?
Happy birthday, Kasey. It's his birthday today. He's 34 years old.
Puka.
And is it his twins' birthday as well? That's usually the way it works.
I don't think they're twins.
They're not twins. No, Jason's older.
Jason's older.
By how many years?
2 or 3. He's either 36.
It's hilarious to me that he has a Swift on his team. There's so many jokes that are just writing.
I've been doing jokes all day about it.
All right. Noah Franklin says, okay, should I trade Kasey and Puka for Amon-Ra, Justin Fields, a chain, and Deontay Johnson? I have Laporta and Waddle, Kamara, McLaurin, Jonathan Taylor, Geno Smith, 12-team league. Okay,
Deontay Johnson, you drop. I mean, there's no value with Deontay Johnson. He didn't even have a touchdown last year, and he's not even playing right now. So,
but even
if he's coming off the IR,
even if he's a throw-in
this week
today. Oh, he is. I didn't hear that. Okay,
I mean, mostly that's a throw-in. You got Kasey and Puka for Amon-Ra, Justin Fields,
and
a chain.
Okay, I got to know who your quarterback is. If it's Trevor Lawrence, then yeah, you should make the trade. If it's not, I mean, I don't know who your quarterback is.
It's Geno Smith.
Geno Smith. 12-team league.
I probably wouldn't do that because Jason Kelce is such an advantage.
You mean
Travis Kelce is such an advantage as tight end.
Mixing up our Kelce is terrible.
I would probably try. I would trade Laporta and try to get a quarterback that way if I need one.
What if you trade Laporta with Geno Smith for just an upgrade?
Like Tua or Justin Fields.
Kasey knows this about me. Ross, I think you know this about me. But two for one deals.
You love getting the better play than 2 for 1.
Then you get a waiver wire pick too.
No, he wrote the book on it. I know you're writing a book right now, Dan, about mental health, but You should write a book.
Write a
about
book
that
on 2-for-1 deals.
2-for-1
All right,
deals,
that's up next. Now, who would you deal? Let's say you're what quarterback are you going to target in a deal where you send Laporta and Geno Smith? And what's worth it? Like, is it worth it to get C.J. Stroud for that?
He's not going to win Geno Smith either. I mean, that's another quarterback that's not consistent, doesn't throw touchdown passes that often.
Do you think you can get Lamar Jackson for that?
No.
I don't
Probably
think so.
not. And what about Stroud? And would that be worth it?
See, Stroud gets so much press right now because he's the front runner for the Rookie of the Year. He hasn't had a game under 300 yards yet, and the guy has not thrown an interception yet. I mean, the guy's like the best quarterback out of Ohio State in like the history of the school.
You know who I might like to get in a cheap deal, and you could certainly get this for Laporta and Geno Smith. I would think. I think Jared Goff is a good upgrade there.
Only at home games.
There you go.
Unfortunately, like if you're willing to trade Kasey, you can get almost any quarterback.
Sure, but I don't think you want to do that.
No, but I said if he's willing to, I wouldn't want to trade Kasey.
I would think about it.
One position.
I mean, I would think about trading Kasey and getting a better. I mean, I would think about it. I don't know if I would do it.
I mean, he's getting a great running back and the Dolphins running back, but Justin Fields, I just don't know how much.
So Geno Smith, his numbers aren't bad this year. I think
but they're not bad at all.
QB 10 or QB 9.
They're not bad. He's not going to win either
trade
league.
Laporta and Geno for Joe Burrow right now?
I mean,
I would stay away from him.
Geno Smith is actually down at like 19.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
See, Geno Smith's not going to win your league, guys. He has to trade and upgrade his quarterbacks. And I told you, already said the 3 quarterbacks he should try to go after.
Who were they again?
Tua, Miami. He's going to keep going big.
If you can get Tua, that's a no-brainer.
Tua to me is huge. C.J. Stroud, Kasey, I love.
Yep.
But I'd sell high on him if I had a good start. If he was my number 2,
that's the thing. You can love a guy, but still want to sell high on him because.
And I said Brock Montana in San Francisco.
Would you sell high on Jordan Love at this point?
I don't have any.
I wouldn't because they're going to play. They're not playing great defenses in the NFC North, so they still have the Bears. They still have the Vikings. And he's getting a healthy Christian Watson. He put up those numbers when Christian Watson wasn't there. Give him a few weeks with Christian Watson, and I think he could even have better numbers, regardless of his efficiency numbers.
I had Justin Herbert in one league and Jordan Love, and I dealt Justin Herbert. This is a keeper league, by the way. And I got Joe Burrow back and a high draft pick for Herbert, and now I'm just starting Love because Burrow.
Sure, but you're still happy with that trade because it's a keeper league.
For sure. But in a redraft league, I'd never do that. Okay, Jonathan Santiago says, desperate at running back, got Barkley, Walker, Algier, and Charbonnet. Would you trade CeeDee Lamb for Breece Hall and Jacoby Myers or for Etienne and Garrett Wilson? Oh, interesting. Oh, it's so hard to analyze these.
Okay, so I love CeeDee Lamb, so I don't know. I mean, Breece Hall, the Jets said this week that he's going to get the main
Breece Hall could put Breece Hall's going up against Denver this week. So if you're going to make that trade,
right, but I like Breece Hall now.
Gotta make it now
because the guy Cook they got from Minnesota, he's not getting half the carries anymore.
I guess when I'm looking at that, my first thought is, what is the story with?
What's the story with?
What is the story? Go ahead.
With Garoppolo, when is he going to come back? Because Jacoby Myers was actually putting up decent numbers in Las Vegas with Garoppolo, and that would make the Breece Hall Jacoby Myers one I would probably do.
I'm very skeptical of Myers keeping up numbers.
ETN, I like, but we've talked about Jacksonville underachieving. When their quarterback underachieves, I think everybody does. And Garrett Wilson. Are we assuming Zach Wilson is going to be able to keep him fantasy relevant?
I think Garrett Wilson's going to have a big week this week in Denver. I think the Jets are going to win this week. You'll see Garrett Wilson with a touchdown and 100 yards. Kasey.
I'm probably leaning towards the Breece Hall. Well, I would lean towards the Breece Hall one if I was going to do one.
And I like Breece Hall too.
I actually like the Etienne Garrett Wilson one better myself because
I like the Breece Hall. Breece Hall is going to be a monster because he's getting the bulk of the carries in New York right now. He'll be the main guy now. And
I think that's right, but I probably would push for somebody besides Jacoby Myers. It depends on who you can get.
So let me ask you
Brees
this
Hall's the
question.
best
I don't trust
player.
Garrett Wilson at all. This week I do, but later I don't.
Yeah.
I'm worried about.
So you would
situation.
if you had Garrett Wilson, you'd wait, play him this week, and then you'd deal him because you think he's
Yep,
gonna have.
he's gone.
Kasey,
Big
what
week this week.
are we gonna say?
So start sit question for you guys in one of our dynasty leagues that we're in. Do I start Brock Montana against Dallas?
You got the name right. I like that case. Keep
Because
going.
Dallas has a pretty strong defense. And
well, hold on. Not against Arizona, but keep going.
All right, or
Zach Wilson against Denver.
Okay.
The worst defense ever. And Zach Wilson actually outperformed Patrick Mahomes last week in the numbers.
I don't feel comfortable starting Zach Wilson in any circumstance.
I know.
I love Brock Montana at home. The guy
I'm gonna forget his actual name. I'm gonna start thinking of him as Brock Montana.
Just call it Brock Montana. Everybody knows who that is.
Let's jump back to Jonathan Santiago though, because you don't have to trade CeeDee Lamb. I know you need running backs, but there's other ways to get him potentially. So would you guys recommend that he go a different route rather than dealing CeeDee Lamb? And some of it depends on team context.
Right. If you believe Zach Wilson can make Garrett Wilson relevant, Garrett Wilson preseason with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback was rated just as high as CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
And drafted in the same kind of 3 to 4 slot range in that second round.
Right.
So in that respect, getting CeeDee's talent in Garrett Wilson, because Dallas isn't force-feeding CeeDee Lamb the ball. They're getting it to Michael Gallup. They're getting it to Jake Ferguson. Tony Pollard catches balls. ETN and Garrett Wilson is an absolute win for you if you think Zach Wilson can get him the ball. That's what you have to
I don't tend to like making a huge deal for running backs because running backs can get injured so quickly and their roles can change. Brees Hall is different.
Then once Barkley comes back, hopefully in the next week or two, as a Giants fan, suddenly you have whichever running back you traded for.
Yeah,
plus Walker, plus Barkley. And if you need to put one of them in your flex, are you keeping a wide receiver out of a flex position when it's a PPR? So,
I would wait on that, especially if your record is fairly decent. I don't think you need to panic about that. Okay.
Go get Brees Hall. Trust me on that one. Go get him.
Brock Goose says, fellas, full PPR, would you trade Ramondre and Tutu for Aaron Jones?
Full PPR.
I love Casey's face.
I love full PPR leagues. Trade.
I have been a big fan of Ramondre through the preseason. He had a decent camp, a good preseason, and then he's been underperforming because
I do like.
I can tell you why
now.
Because of his coach. The coach in New England is
never
the worst
complete headache all the time.
Is the worst coach for fantasy football.
Aaron Jones just came back from injury and absolutely crapped the bed last week against
he was awful.
Detroit.
But he went against a good defense.
But he is a top 6 or 7 running back when he's healthy. If
I would do
you
it.
think Tutu Atwell is going to lose his value as soon as Cooper Kupp comes back,
and he is,
then
I think,
it's smart to make that trade.
I would make that trade. I think that's a good idea. Okay.
I would try to get Aaron Jones. He can win you the league if he keeps heating up. He was the last 5 games last season. He was a top 5 running back. That was Aaron Jones. He was on fire last year.
I know.
And
the first game of the season, his first game of the season, he was the best player on the field.
So get Aaron Jones.
That's a no-brainer to me. Pull the trigger right
if
away.
you like tutu, you should wear a tutu, right, Case? Right, Ross. Okay,
right.
Keep going.
Make COD great again says, would you trade away Bijan and Pickens for Lamb? And am I saying the name wrong? Is that right, Casey?
It's Achan.
Achan.
Yep.
This is one of the bad things
two
about
chains.
I'm not watching enough football like with my own eyes and ears. I'm just watching numbers. So
2 chains. So Lamb with 2 chains for Pickens.
Pickens and Bijan.
You know that Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator for Pittsburgh, should be fired immediately. But
he's terrible. Did you hear he created
not going to do it?
Did you hear he?
I love that story. I wish we had enough time to talk about it.
Back to trolls online.
He has this burner account. Dan, I don't think you heard about it.
I did not hear about this.
And there's all these Steeler fans that are like bad mouthing him on Twitter. So he would defend himself.
He did what Kevin Durant did a few years ago.
Yeah.
Make COD great again. I would probably do that trade because
I would.
CeeDee Lamb is more valuable to your team than Bijan. Because you have Kyron Williams, who's been like one of the best running backs in the world. You have Brees Hall, who's been awesome. Pierce has been decent. White hasn't been good, but you're going to get Saquon back. So if you had Metcalf, Waddle, Zay Flowers, and CeeDee Lamb as wide receivers, that's pretty.
I like
nice.
that.
Also, I
Press
mean,
accept.
Bijan, what's his name again? Achan? What?
Achan.
Achan.
Two chains.
Right. Okay, so Achan, are Achan and Bijan even that far apart in terms of their actual performance? I mean, Achan has been ridiculous.
The problem is Achan is averaging like 12 yards a carry for the last 2 weeks and has
You don't think he's going to keep that
touchdowns. I don't know if that's sustainable.
That'd be awesome.
Right?
He did. I hope he does.
But
listen,
Bijan is the undisputed bell cow in Atlanta.
It's true, but
Achan has it with a healthy Mostert, and now Jeff Williams. Is it
okay?
Williams
But I'll tell
back?
you, I mean, Bijan has 1 touchdown.
I know.
In 4 weeks.
Well, that's because, you talk about the offense in Pittsburgh or the Giants being terrible at producing points. How about the Atlanta offense at producing points?
Horrible.
Right. But see, that's why I'm saying, to me, I would Lamb make the trade. Achan, I would make the trade in a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So we all agree.
Okay.
Press accept.
Yes, press accept. Okay, Sam Moldenauer says, would you accept this trade? I get Eckler and Waddle. I give away Devontae Adams and Breece Hall. Full PPR. Okay, Eckler and Eckler and Waddle.
I would say yes. Eckler's coming back next week. Waddle's going to have some huge weeks coming up. Devontae Adams is not happy in Las Vegas. I think he'll fix some injuries and not play that much. And Breece Hall, I love, but I'd rather have Eckler. So yes,
I wouldn't make that trade. I would not. You have the highest target volume wide receiver in the NFL in Devontae Adams for like 4 years in a row. It's not going to change.
Yeah, he's not happy in Vegas, guys.
It doesn't matter. And Breece, he's proven
even when these guys aren't happy, they still want to get paid somewhere else.
And O'Donnell's this quarterback. Okay, good luck.
That's definitely not good. But
I would.
The way I look at this is I'm looking at the 2 better overall players, Devontae Adams and Breece Hall, between Eckler and Waddle, especially because Eckler just can't really stay healthy. But
he's
I mean,
back,
totally fair deal. I mean, I could see going either way.
Yeah,
I'm on the Devontae
Adams, Breece Hall side.
I think Eckler's ceilings.
There's one above that one, Dan, that you missed.
Just traded Mustard.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Good move on trading Mustard. Whoever.
All right, let's do that one first. Then we'll get to John Woodmayer. Hold on a second. Chef Anabi says just traded Mostert and MT for Pierce and Pittman.
Who's MT?
That's what I was wondering.
Michael Thompson.
Who is that? It must maybe
it's Kasey loves basketball.
Tell us who MT is, or do you know, Kasey?
I'm trying to figure it out.
All right, we'll get
Michael
back to you.
Thomas. Maybe it's Michael Thomas.
Oh well, that would be good. So Mostert. Well, that would be quite a good trade. Should I also trade Ramondre for Joe Mixon?
No, Joe Mixon's awful.
Keep going, Kasey. Tell me why he's awful.
Because he has 3 good weeks a year.
It is Michael Thomas, by the way. We just got confirmation.
But that was good. Whoever said that.
But they are so good weeks, those 3 weeks, that it makes him running back 9 for the season, even though he's like, really, if you take those 3 weeks away, he's running back 27.
Yeah, but Joe Mixon's line is horrible this year. The Bengals' offensive line is not giving.
They also seem like they're going to be playing from behind a lot.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
so
Joe Mixon.
I still think
should want
because Ramondre is still the pass catching back in New England on top of everything else. Ezekiel Elliott has not taken many touches away from him at all. He just hasn't been efficient yet.
Okay, John Woodmayer, the third says full PPR. Should I trade Zach Moss for Breece Hall?
Yes, press accept right now.
Yes.
Immediately. Don't even
And if
hesitate.
so, I got to read the rest of this. And if so, who do I start out of Breece, Achan, and Dameon Pierce?
Only one. You can only start one this week. I would start Breece this week because he's going against Denver. I would play it matchup to matchup. Well, yeah, but Denver just gave up 350 yards rushing in a game.
Thanks, Case.
Denver's terrible. There's no question, but I don't. Right. You put more faith in the matchups. I put more faith in the players.
It's the reason why, Dan, is because Miami throws the ball first. They have these 2 guys named Hill and
they're
Waddle.
Going against the Giants. It could be a shootout. The Giants put up like 6 points
run the ball.
I just don't think
running in Miami.
There's no crying in baseball. All right. Playoffs. Always a Jim Moore reference has to get in there. Okay, Jonathan Santiago says, should I ask the Breece Hall owner for DJ Moore instead of Jacoby Myers?
Yes.
Absolutely. I like that much more.
Yeah, Jacoby Myers is for me no value at all in fantasy. That's me.
Jacoby Myers is the kind of guy who could end up on your waiver wire in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean there's no.
This is the guy who didn't he go like his first 2 seasons without a touchdown?
Yes, and when he scored, we all opened champagne.
And guess who he scored on? It was the Browns. Okay, Mariano Joragui says, "Hello, I have Connor, Walker, Sanders, Cup, Devontae, Ayuk, Higgins, and Phelan, and Laporta. And I'm trying to go for a running back, maybe Aaron Jones. Who should I give, or are there any suggestions for running back trades?" Okay, so let's see first who he should give in relation to Aaron Jones. Okay, you got Connor Walker and
Sanders, Miles Sanders. So I would trade Miles Sanders.
I would love to trade.
Yeah, but no one in the right mind is going to do that. I mean,
but if you trade, let's say Miles Sanders and
who?
Miles Sanders and I don't know. Laporta seems to be his starting tight end.
Yeah, your best.
You know what I would deal Higgins. I would deal Higgins for Aaron Jones right now.
I don't think you could get him.
Maybe he values Higgins.
But if you
might be able to,
Ross, if you're sitting there saying that Devontae is not going to be Devontae this year, why don't you package Sanders and Devontae and go for a David Montgomery type or a big running back who's the number one?
I would want a top tier. I would want a top tier running back for Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you're not
right. No, I get it. But if you could get,
I would try to deal Higgins for a running back. That's what I would do.
Or if you could do like Devontae and Sanders for who would you?
Well,
get?
He put Aaron Jones there. So say if you could get Aaron Jones and Christian Watson.
Yes. For who?
For Sanders and Devontae.
I think that's a fair trade.
I would try to get for Devontae. In all seriousness, I'll do this single. A lot of people accept. And you'll probably think I'm nuts. I'm saying this, but I think this guy's going to have a big second half, and it could win you the league. Is Pollard of the Cowboys? I think
he's somebody I would buy low on.
He's a monster. For sure. I mean, he's going to get carries. He's going to get touchdowns. You'll be watching him during Thanksgiving Day scoring for you. You'll be cheering. I mean, I would trade Devontae Adams for Pollard. Just put that offer in right now and let me know what happens.
All right, Schematic says Chris Olave or Terry McLaurin, worried about Carr's shoulder injury. Any thoughts?
Well, this weekend I would probably I would throw McLaurin out there tonight against the Bears.
Yeah, McLaurin for sure. McLaurin's going to have a touchdown tonight.
Yeah,
McLaurin's going to have at least a touchdown and at least have 80 yards. He's going to have a big game. I see a lot of receptions.
Going against the Patriots this weekend.
Do you think Olave is a buy low?
Kasey Scheinfeld, that's a tough matchup in New England.
Is Olave a buy low?
Olave's a buy. Olave's numbers are pretty good, aren't they? Where does he rank among wide receiver?
I like Olave. I'm just worried about Derek Carr.
I like him a lot. Everybody's worried about Derek Carr in that
regard. But McLaurin, you start today. Trust me. That's a Ross the boss special.
Olave has really not been particularly good. I'll find out the numbers in a second. But I would start Terry McLaurin of the two.
Yes, start him. Start him. Enough said. Okay.
Cameron B, 14-team full PPR, currently 0-4.
0-4.
Is Josh Palmer?
You can still make the playoffs. It's not that crazy.
Is Josh Palmer on bye this week worth dropping for any of these wide receivers? Elijah Moore, Mims Jr., Jackson Smith-Njigba, or Zay Jones?
The only one I
love Mims.
I'm a big fan of Mims because I think,
I would drop him for Mims.
I would drop him for Mims because Cortland Sutton only had one good week. I don't think he's really the guy that Peyton wants in that X receiver in his offense. I think that's why he drafted Mims. So I think as the season goes on, you're going to see more of Mims and less of Cortland Sutton. So that's where
Mims to me is the guy on that list. Hunter Sand says, new subscriber, welcome, Hunter. Would you trade Devontae Adams for Devontae Smith and Jonathan Taylor?
Yes,
I definitely
would. I would accept and not even wait.
Yes. If you get Taylor and Smith, I love Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith put up just as good a numbers as Devontae Adams himself.
I love Devontae Smith.
And Jonathan Taylor, if he's healthy and they give him the volume that he's gotten in the past, is number 2 or 3 running back ranking for the rest of the season.
He said he looked good in practice yesterday.
So
this is one of the examples where a 2-for-1 deal, the one is actually losing because Devontae Smith and Jonathan Taylor have so much value in the two.
All
right,
do it.
All right.
Do it. Press it. I dare you.
Chef Anabi says, I think they're pretty much the same player. So let's go back to what this conversation was. This is trading Mostert and Michael
Thomas.
Michael Thomas for Pierce and Pitt.
Let me go back to Mostert. First of all,
he was saying, should I trade Ramondre for Joe Mixon? That's what he's saying. It's the same player. Go ahead.
I'd rather have Ramondre, but I'm not. Those guys are not going to win you the league. So
yeah, that seems fairly insignificant in terms of.
You're not going to be winning your league because of those two guys. So you can, for fun, press accept.
I think you never know, though. I mean, I like the idea of having an offense.
No, guys, listen,
feel more confident. But ultimately, it depends on Burrow. To me,
yeah,
if Burrow, it's a wash season, party over. Just move on from Burrow.
South Sco 650 says 1-3, 14 team, half PPR.
Okay,
we got a long list here. Geno, Chase, Devontae Smith, DJ Moore, Dotson, Rice, Kyron, Achan, Hall, Jonathan Taylor, Najee. This is a 14
and Logan
team league.
Thomas,
wow.
Ferguson.
Najee's a waste of time. Rice is a waste of time.
Who should I package to upgrade QB or another wide receiver 1? Tua owner turned down Moore, Achan, and Ferguson.
Yeah, I'm looking at your team to see who has value. So Smith has value, and
Jamar Chase has value.
Kyron has value. That's Kyron Williams of the Rams, right? Who's like all world this year.
Yeah.
Two chains I like a lot.
Man,
I mean, what do you guys think about moving Jonathan Taylor in a big deal?
I'm surprised the Tua owner turned down Achan, unless he doesn't need a running back.
Yeah. I mean, I
guess it depends who his other quarterback is.
And in a 14-team league, that's a big deal.
Go after C.J. Stroud, get rid of Geno, and throw in
maybe Geno and Dotson doesn't have a lot of value right now. Is the problem?
No, he's going to have a big game tonight. Another guy I like tonight, Kasey Dotson.
Yeah,
I think Dotson's a little bit of a buy low.
Kasey and I love Dotson.
I might throw DJ Moore. I might try DJ Moore to be the one to trade.
Just DJ Moore and Geno.
And Geno.
I like that. I think.
Well, DJ Moore is still the number one in an offense, right? None of these other guys that you're going to want to trade are the clear number one.
I like DJ Moore and Geno.
Or DJ Moore and Najee Harris. Because Najee's been terrible, but his name still gets.
If you can trade Najee for a bag of donuts, do it. Anything.
A ham sandwich, as I like to say.
But if you can trade Najee and throw in Geno Smith and get Brock Montana or somebody like that, do it.
All right. Chef Anabi says half PPR, 10-man league. My current team is Hurts, Fields, AJ Brown, Lamb, Moore. This definitely is a 10-team league. London, Pittman, Stevenson, Brees, Taylor Swift. Whoa. Pierce, Andrews, and Laporte. The joke wrote itself.
Swift.
What's the question?
Is this a super flex league because you have Hurts and you have Fields?
I'm not sure there's a question.
Well, he was saying something before. This was about when he was talking about Mixon and Ramondre. So I think he's giving us the context of his team.
Okay.
So if this is not a super flex league, I would try to trade Fields and go after a team that has a bad quarterback. See if you can, because of his week last week.
And especially because you have Hurts. I mean, that's an area where you have a lot of strength. Deal from
I love Hurts.
I'd probably I want to package Fields maybe with, like, if you could do Fields and more and get like a really awesome.
If Drake London happens to get another touchdown this weekend, because he got one last week in London, I would trade. I would sell high on him at that point.
Yeah.
I hate Pittman. I would try to.
I'm not a Pittman guy either.
Yeah, I hate that guy.
I don't hate him.
We don't hate him.
Buys him.
All right. Shaka says, would you trade Kyron and Thielen for Waddle and Etienne? PPR.
Press accept immediately.
I would, yes.
I would, yeah. Because here, my fear with Kyron, he's been awesome and he's not slow. I don't think the Rams are going to get worse. I worry about, this is a guy who wasn't kind of groomed to be an every down back for a season.
So you're worried he's going to wear down.
I'm worried he's going to wear down. And when you get closer to the playoffs, you're going to get those nagging soft tissue injuries, which might hurt you. Whereas, I think Waddle is a clear upgrade over Thielen.
To me, Waddle and Etienne are the two best players in that deal. So if you got that on both sides of the ledger, I say go for it.
I agree.
All right, South Sco 650 says Tua owner has Hurts, and they have the same bye week. Also has Pitts at tight end. Okay, so backing up, this was
Pitts you can waive.
That was
we talked about that.
Yeah, that good. Thanks for
waive Pitts. Anybody has Kyle Pitts, don't have him on your team. Get rid of him.
It's sad how much his value has sunk. So the question here is going after a QB or another wide receiver one. So I think we were saying Geno and DJ Moore. You guys were saying for Stroud is a deal you would do.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, he's got much more upside than Geno.
I don't think Stroud owners are going to trade that guy so quickly, but if you can get him, great.
Yep. Okay. Jonathan Major says, what was offered Chase for Kenneth Walker and George Pickens?
Wait, Kenneth Walker, the third or the second? Which one are we talking about?
This is the third. Or
okay.
Maybe it's Kenneth Walker Sr. Don't do that. I have Barkley and Travis Etienne. What do you think? Okay, so he's already got Barkley and Etienne.
Okay.
And
who are your wide receivers, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'd want to know that. I mean, but I will say at first glance, I just want to take it. I mean, Chase is a monster, and I think Burrow is going to come around. I mean, I don't think he's going to come around to be.
He's not going to throw for 160 yards a game. Yeah, of course he's better come around.
But he's going to come around enough that Chase will be Chase.
I hope so.
So I would.
Did you guys hear the interview with Chase? They asked him about do you think Burrow, do you think you're not getting open? He says, I'm open every play. I said,
but that's what every wide receiver thinks.
I know. Right. I thought it was funny.
I might not only because of Barkley's health.
Yeah. Okay, so Jonathan Major has given us some more information. Cup and Lamb, these are his wide receivers. I flipped Puka for Lamb already. That's a great job.
Good deal. Smart guy.
Very good. I also have Ridley. So
I love Ridley.
Start over him. Wow, this is a monster team. This must be like a 10-team league. That's what I'm guessing. Either that or you're very good at what you do. I still would probably lean towards this, but it is hard with Barkley and Etienne. You're thin at running back until Barkley's back. You're still thin at running back, but it's tempting enough that I would probably do it.
I still like Calvin Ridley. I know he hasn't had as big of it. Like week 1 was awesome, and he hasn't been great since then. But
he's had a touchdown last week.
Yeah. But you also can deal him. If Ridley goes off, then you can deal him if you need to, or you can deal Chase. It's not like you're losing value to get Chase.
Exactly. There you go.
All right. Cameron B says, sorry, the question was backwards. Are any of these wide receivers worth dropping to pick up Palmer? Okay, so we had that wrong. Let me back up and get to where that was. Here was the original question. He was saying Josh Palmer's on bye this week, and is it worth dropping any of these wide receivers for him? So we were saying pick up Mims. Now, I think it's probably safe to drop Elijah Moore for Palmer, but I don't know what you guys think about that. I don't think it's something.
Look, I think it's safe to drop Zay Jones too, because Zay Jones is the number 4 pass option in Jacksonville's offense.
Yeah,
who's not playing well. Either Jones or Moore, you can't go wrong dropping either of those guys.
And I think Jackson Smith and Njigba will be a great wide receiver. I just don't think this is his year.
Yeah, but I definitely wouldn't cut him for Palmer.
Right.
That's
and Palmer didn't do that great last week anyway.
No,
so.
and you have to remember that Quentin Johnston is still on that team also, and kind of fits the physical traits of Mike Williams. So they might be hoping to work him into that role, and Palmer gets phased out. So I wouldn't pick him up.
Okay, Schematic says starting McLaurin. Thanks, guys. Stakes on me if he scored more than Olave. I love it. Just let us know where we can reach you. I look forward to the stakes.
I'm in LA. Dan's in Cleveland. Kasey is in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we'll meet up in Nebraska for stakes.
We'll meet in Nebraska.
Harold Jenkins says trade away James Cook and Dobbs for Olave.
Ooh, I like that. James Cook and Dobbs for Olave. I would not do that. I love James Cook.
I love James Cook.
I also think Dobbs isn't going to be far off from Olave this year, is my guess.
No. Olave's numbers are down just because Derek Carr is down.
And then you're leaving yourself with only 2 running backs.
I like
current running backs. C-Mac, Jonathan Taylor, Mixon, Cook, and Moss. So he actually has a
But
deep
Jonathan Taylor and Moss are the same. That's one.
Listen,
right?
If you're going to deal James Cooks and Dobbs, I'd want to get Devontae Adams, something like that. Because Olave, he's having a down year, and I don't see that changing. Wide receivers are Ridley, Lockett, Cooper, and Dobbs. I think you're better.
I love Ridley. I like Cooper. He has to get healthy.
If you're going to deal James Cook and Dobbs, I think you can get nothing against Olave, but I just don't see him performing.
Don't get rid of Cook. When it gets cold in Buffalo, they'll be running the ball a lot more. Cook's gonna be a big part of that. So keep Cook. Trust me on that.
All right. The Stroud owner has Fields already. Okay, so this is a part of trade strategy. You got to find the guy who.
So then Geno Smith. Well, I mean, you're trading a backup for a backup, and because if you're trading
Well, then
Geno
you
Smith.
got to move up. You got to move up the chain and try to get Stroud.
And listen, if Fields has another big gain, the Stroud owners are going to be more likely to deal Stroud because.
Or
Fields
you could trade for Fields.
Or you could trade for Fields. Yeah.
Remember, Fields was awful last year, the first 5 weeks of the season, and then was QB6 the remainder of the season. So
there you go.
Jonathan Major says it's a 12-team league. Very good 12-team.
Well played.
Yes.
I want you to pronounce the next guy's name.
Oh boy, here we go.
I can't wait for this. Let me do it first.
Oh, I was like Fields or Richardson. That's easy. Okay, Lefferger. Whip it.
Let me ask a question, Lifferter. What country are you? What country are you from? I wanted to. What country are you from? And can you phonetically pronounce your name so we can say it?
I don't think this is.
I don't think
to do
it's
with
his
country.
name. I don't think it has anything to do with phonetics or nationality.
I guess he's from the Netherlands.
Lefferger.
Fields or Richardson?
Fields or Richardson? I'm going Richardson.
Wow.
It's a tough call, but
it's a tough call for me because look, Richardson has been really good.
I just heard myself say I don't trust the Bears as if I trust the Colts.
He has 400 passing yards on the season.
That's pretty bad. Yeah.
Fantasy football. I'm talking about fantasy football. I would have Fields over Richardson right now. I think Fields has proven himself in the fantasy world a lot more than Richardson has, guys. So
yeah,
Fields,
I would probably go Fields.
If it's a dynasty league, yes, Richardson. If it's a redraft league, Fields. I'm done talking.
It's a good point though. If it's a keeper or dynasty league, it's Richardson clearly, but redraft, I could see leaning towards Fields. I'm leaning towards Richardson myself. It's just my gut. All right. Jonathan Major says I've been on my Howie Roseman vibes. Well done. Keep up the good work. Trading Puka for Lamb, obviously the right thing to do. Okay. Cameron B says 14-team full PPR 0-4 so far. Burrow, Bijan, Javonte Williams, Devontae Smith, London, Goddard, Flowers, B-Rob, Elijah Moore, Charbonnet. This is a deep list, so I'm not going to read it all, but are changes needed?
Okay, let me see. Your quarterback, Burrow is horrible.
I think you need to change your quarterback.
Quarterback running back gone. And then Warren is splitting handoffs. Charbonnet, nothing. What other running backs does he have?
He has Javonte Williams, who's hurt. But they're saying he might play this week.
The immediate thing you need is a running back.
Only has one touchdown on the season.
I would have holes here.
Who's the target, guys?
I mean, Devontae Smith, Drake London, and
Goddard's done nothing this season either.
Yeah, Goddard is a ghost of a tight end.
So far.
It's 14. Remember, it's 14 teams. So
I would put Brian Robinson Jr. in for Javonte right now, honestly. But especially tonight.
Oh, I think that's not even a question. I mean, Brian Robinson Jr., I think he's where is he ranked in running backs?
He's not great yet.
Okay, I think your first order of business is.
He's
getting
the 7th ranked running back, at least in one of my leagues.
Are there any quarterbacks that are available other than?
I think you got to address quarterback first because you got Brian Robinson to fill in at running back, and Charbonnet's gaining touches. Burrow, I don't trust.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Elijah Moore, Zay Jones are kind of.
I actually think I would try to unload Javonte Williams while he has value. I don't.
Either try to upgrade your quarterback and get a tight end thrown in.
Did you draft a second quarterback?
It doesn't look like it.
Oh,
I'm sure he does, but
probably has.
Best available is Howell and Tannehill. Play Sam Howell tonight. Pick him up.
Pick him up immediately and start him tonight.
Right now.
2 touchdowns and 300 yards. Trust me.
I can get behind that. Okay. Joe says, how are we feeling with Khalil Herbert in the flex 12-man non-PPR tonight? Let me look at what Herbert's done.
I think
Herbert's great last week.
Yeah.
He was great last week. Roshan Johnson didn't figure into the touches really at all. I like him against Washington a little bit, but Washington has a decent run defense and not a very good pass defense. This could be a passing game, but it's non-PPR. So what you need is Chicago to score on their first 2 possessions and then start.
I would want to know what your other options are, Joe, because, Herbert has only performed well in 1 game this year. So,
yeah, I do like Herbert tonight. I think they'll be running the ball a lot in Chicago tonight.
I would look for somebody else potentially, but it depends. 12-man, I feel like you can probably find somebody better, is my guess.
Maybe.
Larry Stubbage says, should I trade James Cook or James Conner for Breece Hall? If not,
Go down 2. That's what it is.
Yeah. Okay. If not, my team is Mahomes, C-Mac, Kyron, Cook, Connor, Amon-Ra, Amari, Deontay Johnson, Judy.
So I guess my question for you, Larry, would be, why wouldn't you target a wide receiver if you're going to trade from your strength at running back?
He has CMC, he has Kyron.
You have CMC, Kyron, and then either Cook or Connor. Amon-Ra is a great number 1. Amari is hit or miss. Deontay hasn't played.
Doesn't have Waddle.
Decent. Waddle, Addison, Laporta, Pitts. I mean, I don't see what
drop Pitts.
I don't think James Cook is worse than Breece Hall right now. So I would definitely not make that trade.
James Cook, I like.
James Cook. If I could, I mean, James Conner for Breece Hall, I would.
James T. Kirk.
Yep, there you go. Got the reference.
But who's your quarterback or tight end? If Pitts is your tight end with Laporta,
I prefer Jean-Luc Picard. All right, keep going.
You can't. That's blasphemy.
I love Captain Kirk, but I love Picard. I mean, Patrick Stewart.
But
doctor, not a fancy expert.
I wouldn't trade for Breece Hall. I don't think you need him.
I think that's a waste of trade. Who's your quarterback?
We don't know. Mahomes.
Okay.
Mahomes is his quarterback.
Mahomes is great. Okay, so
your team is really deep. I don't know.
I would. Yeah, you got to get another receiver. Trade Connor for a receiver.
I would trade Connor and underperforming Waddle for a Devontae Adams.
You could get Justin Jefferson for that potentially. I mean,
yeah. I mean, that's where
George Jefferson for that.
You could definitely get
no
George
respect.
Jefferson. You could probably get Thomas Jefferson for that, which is pretty impressive actually. Okay, we got a couple more questions and then we'll wrap up here. Schematic says Fields or Kirk Cousins
this week.
Cousins.
So Cousins is playing at home against Kansas City,
and Cousins is leading the league in passing right now, isn't he?
On a Thursday, I hate Thursday night games, just so you guys know. And this game is such like a horrible game. I would start Cousins against Kansas City. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. So Cousins, yes.
And every game with every game with Kirk Cousins is a high scoring game because their defense is atrocious.
Cousins he's the third best quarterback right now.
Right.
Who's number 1?
Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert.
Yeah. Josh Allen second.
Peaches and Herbert.
But I think you start Kirk Cousins. Okay. This one we already covered. All right.
Yep.
We're through them all.
We had that too. And then Cameron B says, I did not. But I don't remember what it was in reference to. So it's okay that you didn't. I don't remember what it was in reference to. Guys, it has been a pleasure. We stayed over longer because we just had so many questions coming in, which is great. Kasey, Ross, it's been a pleasure being here with you. We will be here the same time next week. That's Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. And we look forward to talking more with you.
And watch Kasey and I do waiver wire pickups on Tuesday at 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern.
That's right.
As I gloat about the Giants' upset of the Miami Dolphins.
I'm hopeful for you. I hope that they get sacked less than 10 times.
It's going to be a massacre. It's going to be a massacre, just so you guys know that Miami Giants.
Daniel Jones runs for 450 yards per game behind the line of scrimmage.
But you never know. I'm going to take one last question right before we go. Elias said, I just made a trade. Can I put my team first and then tell you guys the trade? Oh, no, we're running out of time, Elias. Get it in right now.
Just tell us what the trade is.
Tell us what the trade is. Okay, he says, oh, damn, got here at the end. All right, listen.
How
about this? You can either put it in right now or you can put it in the comments. You guys can always do that. Put it in the comments below and we'll get back to you.
I got a minute. Go ahead.
All right, Elias. Get it in there right now. In the meantime, so who do you have in your survivor pool, guys?
Oh, I'm out.
Yeah.
I picked Cincinnati last week as
well. I begged them not to do it.
All right, Ross, who do you got this week while we're waiting for Elias?
Oh, God, I made the pick. It was a popular pick, too.
Miami?
I picked the Lions.
I forgot who I picked.
I picked the Lions.
The Lions are at home. That's a great pick. Why is that? It's not that bad.
No,
Did you ever think you'd pick the Lions in week 5 of an NFL season?
See, that's the thing. That it's not at all a bad pick, but I
forgot who I did it on Tuesday. I forgot who I picked.
Well, we're about to find out. Meanwhile, Elias, get us your question. Oh, wait, hold on. Here it is. He got it in. Nice job. Okay, Pacheco, Michael Thomas, and Dell for Etienne. I'm receiving Etienne. I have a bunch of wide receiver depth: Puka, McLaurin, Godwin, and Deontay. I I think I do like that deal. I think I'm higher on Etienne than you guys, but
I'm high on and the only one of those three that I'm high on that he gave up. I mean, I like Pacheco, but I don't think he's a difference maker at running back. I think Tank Dell could be good if CJ Stroud keeps it up, but I'd rather have Etienne than Dell. I'd rather have the run.
I think you're getting the better player in Etienne.
You're getting the best player.
I would go ahead and do it. And Michael Thomas to me is not.
Michael Thomas is like a waiver wire
He's a
guy.
throw-in.
You know.
Okay, guys, it's been a pleasure. Ross, Kasey, we'll see you the same time next week. Enjoy that waiver wire show on Tuesdays with these two and find out who to pick up. Keep up the good work, guys, and we'll keep up telling you who to trade for, how to think about strategy. It's been a pleasure. Thanks, guys.